Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about a mental health strategy that you can use during your quarantine and after. So this is a pretty generic coping mechanism, but it's one that I really like and I have found helps me. So it's called a mental health help kit. You might have also seen these online being called first aid kits for mental health or soothing kits for mental health. But the idea behind this stems from a branch in cognitive behavioral therapy. And so basically the idea behind this is that your five senses are very powerful, right? So when they bring information to your brain, it's a really, really powerful signal to your brain. So if you've ever smelled something before and the smell reminds you in almost picture perfect clarity of a memory that also involved that smell, the idea is kind of the same. We know that your senses are really strong and can really disrupt cycles. So the idea is to use your five senses to disrupt the cycle of anxious or depressed thinking. And so again, this is sort of just anecdotal here because this is a strategy that I like and thought that I would share. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have a little basket or a little jar or something where you can put these items in that we're going to discuss. And what you're going to do is you're going to find items that engage each of your five senses. Now, the items that we're going to find, they don't have to be associated with a memory. They can if you want, but they don't have to be. So you're just looking for something that is soothing to you, whether it's just a smell that you really like that really can calm you down, or if it's a smell that's associated with a really good memory of yours. You can also put more than one item for each sense. I'm going to talk about that when I actually talk about my kit and what I put in for smell. So my kit is pretty heavy on smell and sound because these are the two senses that I have found I responded to the most. So if you find that you're leaning towards one sense or the other, that's okay. It's all based on you and what can calm you down faster, what can disrupt that cycle of anxious thinking. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is scent, your nose knows. So for this, you can put in candles, perfumes, essential oils, maybe a little card that had perfume sprayed on it. Really anything that you can smell will go into this category. So for me, I have two major smell items. The first is a candle, and this candle is not associated with any memory whatsoever. This candle is just a scent that I really, really have found calming. I actually accidentally bumped into it in the store when I smelled it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So I keep this in my mental health basket. And so I don't use this all the time. The idea is that I want to use it sparsely enough that it will get me out of a cycle of thinking. It's not going to be something routine, right? If I smelled this every day, it wouldn't work quite as well as when I reserve this for helping me through my anxiety. The second smell is a little bottle of perfume, and this perfume is actually really associated with a memory. So this perfume is from my very first trip ever, alone, to Italy. It was a really big deal for me because I always wanted to travel as a kid, but my family, we could never ever go abroad. So my first trip that I went there, I smelled this perfume and it smelled just like the streets of Capri. So I bought it and I use it now to help me break up that anxious thinking. But actually, this isn't good for me during quarantine. So this quarantine is filled with a lot of uncertainty. We don't know if we're going to get jobs back, if we're going to get hired, when we're going to be able to travel again. So thinking of this memory is actually more triggering than it is relaxing. So I actually put this aside and I'm not using it for my quarantine mental health kits. The next sense I'm going to talk about is touch. So for touch, you can get something like a worry stone. You can get, they have those chiming, relax, massaging balls. You can use those. You can get a little bracelet that you can rub or play with when you get anxious or depressed. What I have actually is something that you can also use for kids. So I use slime for my touch. It really, really helps me to just stretch and break it apart and stretch and break it apart, squeeze it, hear the crackle. So I use slime for mine, but you don't have to. As another side note, if you want to use slime, it can also be a really great activity that you can do at home with kids. All you need is some glue and a little bit of dish detergent. There are some other things you can use for it too that are a little bit more safe, but you can make slime at home. So it's a great activity to do with your kids that will also end up helping them deal with their anxiety. You can also use one of those little squeeze toys. We have plenty of those around. I have a little brain I like to use sometimes as well. So the next one is sound. So for sound, this can be anything from music. So if you really like a classical composer or if you really find a particular song calms you down, but the important thing here is calm you down. If your favorite music is the kind of music that gets you pumped and ready to go, that's not the song that you should use for this. So being that songs and sounds are usually a little bit more intangible, you can put in a slip of paper into your basket or into your kit that just says what the sound is and where you can access it. So if it's a playlist on your phone or on Spotify, or if it's an app, whatever it may be, just make sure you put something in that kit that tells you where it's going to be. So for me, I really love the sounds of nature. I live in New York City, so I actually don't get these sounds very often. So I will put something in the description. It's a YouTube channel that I use that has a whole bunch of sounds from bird songs to rivers to rainfall that I find really calming, and maybe you can too. You can also have your sound be a voice. So if somebody's voice is very calming to you, you can basically record that or have a phone call with them, whatever it may be, but just put that information into your kit. So next is sight. So for sight, you can have something like a photograph or a sculpture or a work of art, a letter even that really is calming and soothing to you, anything that you're using your eyes that is calming. So for me, the movie How to Train Your Dragon actually is very calming, and I have no idea why. But for me, it's a very, very calming movie. So I bought a little plush toothless. Hi! I bought a little plush toothless that goes into my mental health basket. So when I see this cute, adorable little stuffed animal, it always helps break that chain of anxiety. He's really good at it too because it also can stimulate touch. So we are social creatures by nature. So the feeling of hugging something is also pretty calming as well. So Toothless here fulfills two of mine, which is also sight and touch. I also have a lamp that I'm not going to show because it is a little sun-drenched in my apartment, so you can't see it very well. But it's a Turkish lantern type lamp that I found one day when I was out in New York City. And I just think it's really pretty. And when I look at it, it's very calming for me. So I have that set up in a corner of the room where I don't put anything that's ever triggering. So it's just the lamp, and when I have to light my candle, it's my candle. It's soothing things like that. And the last one is taste. So for taste, you're going to want to put something that's non-perishable, right? You don't want something that's going to get moldy and unsafe to eat within 2 weeks. So for me, I just have a recipe listed there. It's my mom's homemade pasta sauce, her homemade marinara sauce. For you, it can be a candy, it can be anything that, again, it can keep well, or you can also put that recipe as well. So you put all of this into your little box, and again, you want them to be things that you don't use every single day. You don't want it to be part of your normal routine. You want it to be something that can help you break from a routine. And so that is my mental health box. In the description, I'm going to put some nice sources with ideas to help you make your mental health help box as well. And good luck. And I hope you all stay mentally well during these trying times.